More to come to on those results. We want your views on the profits. Do you think actually it's a good thing the banking sector is back on track, particularly, of course, those now owned by us, the taxpayer, making money again? Or do you have sympathy, as we're hearing from Tony, that many business customers just can't get the money out of the banks? Let us know. News@sky.com, 84501 for the text. Perhaps if you're a drunken sailor, I don't know. Charlotte now with the rest of the day's news.
Thanks, Mark. The Food Standards Agency says it will investigate reports that milk from cloned cows is being sold illegally in Britain. It follows reports that a British farmer
profits, how the banks are doing. Do you think that it's actually good that the banks appear to be back on track? Is that what they're actually supposed to be doing, to get the taxpayers' money back, for instance? Or do your sympathies lie with customers, particularly businesses? Apparently, a lot of them trying to get money out of the banks and they're being refused access. Let us know what your experiences are. News@sky.com. Text us on 84501. Papers coming up with Lauren shortly. Charlotte first, the rest of the day's news.
Thanks, Mark. Reports that milk from cloned cows is being sold illegally in Britain is being investigated by the Food Standards Agency. It follows reports that a British farmer has... The New York Cosmos football team is being brought back with the backing of its most famous star, Pelé. The Brazilian legend announced the return of his former club in New York this morning. A parade of top stars, including Pelé, his teammate Carlos Alberto and former German captain Franz Beckenbauer, played for the Cosmos during the 70s and 80s before financial problems saw it wind up. Well, the club now plans to invest heavily in grassroots football in the States and they hope to return to Major League Soccer.
I want to see more Pelé in action. Just have a bit more of that archive. Wonderful stuff. Seeing
he just looks so young, doesn't he?
Doesn't he look great?
How does that happen?
Football. Now, good morning. Welcome. Are we grumpy this morning? Are we cheerful? Are we exasperated?
Cheerful.
Good, right.
I'm very cheerful this morning, but not about milk, as it turns out, because the Daily Mail leads on Clone Farms milk is on sale, which you've been leading with. This is because apparently milk from cloned cows has been sneaked onto the shelves and into our milk bottles for some time now. Apparently, US embryos created from eggs have been taken by farmers over here, put into cows, and they're making these super cows. Now, what's the problem with milk from these cows? Well, firstly, we don't want it. Consumers in this country are really suspicious about these products, and we haven't been asked for the OK. And secondly, the FSA, the Food Standards Agency, has said it's illegal under regulations. So you've got a situation now, you've got farmers putting these products into our milk, and we don't have any say about it.
Is it farmers plural or just one renegade farmer?
Well, they think that up to 5 farmers are doing it. Now, how much of the milk produce that makes, we don't know. It depends on the size of the dairy. I think the real problem here, though, is what is the effect on the animals as well? I mean, cloned cows at the moment, some research says premature deaths, deformities. It's not a healthy thing to be doing, so let's get rid of it.
And yet again, this industrialisation of our food industry, or food processes. The pictures on the front of The Guardian tell of a still desperate world out there, despite all these various efforts of relief, to help people, and it's floods and famine.
Well, look, I know it's the start of the silly season, but I thought this was an interesting front page because it's actually very much a kind of independent layout. These two stark pictures from Niger and Pakistan. The strong use of numbers. 400,000 children could die this summer, says a charity in Niger. 27,000 trapped in the worst rains in Pakistan. And the point here really is that for a long time, Niger has been tipping into a starvation situation, but nobody's got the money or the time or seemingly the interest to react to it. And meanwhile, of course, this disastrous situation in Pakistan where grain stores have been washed away, herds of cattle washed away. This will be, the disaster in Pakistan will be going on for months and years.
And these are yet again natural disasters hitting the human population.
That's right. We can talk about cloned milk over here, but, you know, the weather is affecting people far worse.
Now, this is extraordinary declaration from Shimon Peres. I think yesterday he came out with this, about Britain's deep anti-Semitism.
Well, I think anybody who heard David Cameron last week refer to Gaza as a prison camp and who knows about the situation and how Israel is very good at controlling the message coming out from the Middle East would have thought that there was going to be a slapdown at some point for Cameron. And here it comes with the Israeli president accusing English people, not even British people, English people, of a deep-rooted anti-Semitism. I'm going to read you a quote here, it's very interesting. There is an Englander saying that an anti-Semite is someone who hates the Jews more than necessary. He said in an interview last week. Well, I've never heard that. Have you ever heard that said? Ever. And that's, sorry, I want to get this straight, because that's actually a saying from a Hungarian nobleman in 1920. So it's not an English saying. This is an attack on our government's ability to question Israel's inability to obey international law.
But that's the issue. You're attacking the Israeli state and criticising the Israeli state. You're not attacking the Jewish faith or the Jewish people, which is what anti-Semitism is. So Mr. Perez seems to have got the two issues rather confused.
Well, very confused, deliberately confused, some would say. Anybody who works in pro-Palestinian rights and looking for human rights there will have been called an anti-Semite. So there we go. Cameron joins a long crew of very proud
I'm sure
activists.
people have got a thought on that. News at sky.com, 84501 for your reaction to that. Too much choice making us... Well, can't just work out whether we want to or not. Indecisive.
Look, I think we've all known this. For a while, we've been overwhelmed by...
Women in shoes, maybe? I don't know. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Shoes.
No?
That's not fair.
Forget that. People and olive oil on the
Oh, really?
shelves.
What, just too much of it?
You can spend like 16 hours just going, I don't know which olive oil I want. It's our society, this tyranny of choice, is making us unable to make the simplest choices. 47% of us now going, I don't know what parmesan to
Isn't that
have.
obscene after what we just discussed about Niger and you know, Pakistan? That just too much of everything. Meanwhile, if we are stressed about having to decide which olive oil, we can go and get a jab to sort ourselves out.
Yeah, well, this is interesting. You know, forget the age-old remedies of yoga, says the Mail, meditation or popping pills. They're developing in Stanford now a stress jab. Why do we need this? Apparently, animals like the zebra, if they're chased by lions, once the lion backs off, they're fine and happy again. But if we go into crisis situations, which most of us do about 25 times a day, choosing our olive oil, the stress hormones stay with us and cause neural damage. And worse, we take that stress home with our families.
Yeah.
So what we need is a jab that'll make it all go away once we leave the office.
But don't you then get stressed about having to go to the doctor to get the jab?
Of course, if you're scared of needles, that's not going to work.
That's
is it?
true.
Exactly.
No, it's not.
Just have a nice cup of tea, that's what I say. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you a bit later, Lauren, for
See
a
you
bit
later.
more. Thank you. So the summer festival season is in full swing. In business, particularly those, of course, who use taxpayers' money, or do you think that they ought to start splashing the cash for business customers? Many businesses finding it difficult indeed to get money out of the banks. Let us know. News at sky.com, 84501 for the text. But I think we can now just break away back to that breaking news about those deaths of 2 more British service personnel in Afghanistan. No, thanks very much. So just to reiterate, 2 more died, Marine from 40 Commando and that soldier then from 1st Battalion Scots Guards. Let's get an update too on the rest of the day's news now with Charlotte.
Thanks, Mark. The Food Standards Agency says it will investigate reports that milk from cloned cows is being sold illegally in Britain. It follows reports this morning that a British farmer's admitted selling milk from a cow bred from a clone. Kitty Logan has this report.
Milk is being...
Well, more details as they come through from the OD, but let's get an update too on the rest of the day's news now with Charlotte.
Thank you, Mark. And the row over bank profits will be reignited today when HSBC becomes the first of the big 4 to reveal how much money it's made so far this year. It's expected to be in the billions.
First generation, pretty good too. Extraordinary footballer. Thank you very much indeed. We've got papers coming up with Lauren fairly shortly, but we're just looking ahead first to the banks.